Yeah.
John has no clue. Hey, just so you know, boys and girls, we're actually live and we have a guest today, but here's the intro.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
Welcome to the Lost Dollar Business Club, where we talk about business, and not just business. We talk about what makes businesses go up and what makes businesses go down. If you're interested in businesses, this is where it is. We talk about the global economy. We talk about global politics. We talk about everything and anything business related that affects your life on a global scale as well as a local scale. And don't miss after the show, Lost and Found.
All right.
Whereas we stay live.
We are live, and John's alive. Hello, John.
Hey. Look like a cat's up.
I got to put him on the spot every time. I'm going to do that every time. I'm just going to.
John's a carbon-based life form. We're just lucky he shows up.
Put me on the spot, huh? Yeah. I don't maybe speak as much because Steve.
Wow. You want to try that in English?
Steve's got a lot to say all the time. We know that. We know.
Yeah.
I'm from New York. Yeah. We have a lot to say no matter what.
That's right.
Just the way it goes.
No, don't give me that excuse.
You're not from New York. You're from some little small country. We kicked your ass, or the British kicked your ass with some islands. You guys didn't even know they were coming. Just sit there and look pretty. So now, before we get into this, our guest today.
Where do you live?
Yeah. Now he's technically not in New York.
I know.
That's not in New York.
Some shithole called Austin. And let me tell you, the minute I can get out of Austin, gone. So making arrangements. Okay. I got the spaceship going to Pluto, getting the house. This place sucks. I wouldn't put John here.
You heard it in the Lost Dollar Business Club first.
Yeah, it's a shithole. I don't care. The people are dumber than a box of rocks. The politicians are dumber than the people. And the only thing good here is when I go for a ride is you see these mega steers with these long horns or cows or horses. Right. That makes it all worthwhile. Now, if I could have them on the road and put the people in the pens, this is a great place. But apparently that's frowned upon. Something about internment camps in the 30s and 40s.
Frowned upon. Right, frowned upon.
What are you going to do?
Speaking of things that maybe we need to help you with your mindset, Stephen, because we have a great guest. We have a great guest on the show today. Dustin, your last, how did I forget his last name? Dustin Lloyd,
wow.
Who wrote the book, It's All Your Fault. Right. And it's all, in fact,
That's what we tell John every day. It's all his fault.
Yeah.
But this is a book, but Dustin's book is all about his story, his journey, and the growth mindset. And there are a lot of great lessons to be learned. So I think our listeners, our viewers on YouTube, on podcasts, are going to love this conversation with Dustin. Let's bring him in.
Dustin, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Calling in from Boca Raton.
That's right, sunny Florida.
Boca Raton, Florida, darling. So there you go. The land of my people. That's it. I just had a friend who said he came back from the promised land. He was talking about Boca. So, that's the way it goes. Yeah.
Well, good. You landed in the right spot. So, Dustin, this is great. I mean, you connected with Stephen and we talked a little bit. We have your book. We read your book. It's All Your Fault. And it's a very compelling title, I'd say, because I think a lot of people, especially now, maybe don't want to think that it's their fault. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the genesis of what prompted you to even write this thing, and then get it published in 2021 is when you published it, it sounds like.
All right. So originally, I was trying to write a book for like blue collar people on how to get your business from a job to an actual business. And for me, that step started with a mindset switch, because originally I thought you were born with what you had and you just had to make the best of it. I didn't really believe that you could develop new skills or just change the outlook you had on life. A lot of my family sees the negative in a lot of stuff. And so naturally that's what I saw. And it took a lot of work. But when I started writing the book, that was going to be the first chapter. And I just kept writing and writing and writing and writing. And I'm like, well, this is going to be like the length of the Ray Dalio book, Principles, if I keep going at this rate. So I made the choice because I obviously felt that was such an important first step to just make the book about that. And so I changed it up a bit and included a lot of my stories growing up and how I changed the way I think, some of it on purpose, some of it accidentally. and just it's the reason I'm where I'm at. I'm 100% like a product of, if you just change the way you think, stuff you never thought would be possible is possible. And for me, it's the title is perfect, because even if there's something that happens outside of your control, you've made a choice to put you in a place that allowed someone else to have control over your life. So you could have made different choices to not make that uncontrollable thing as impactful on your life.
Well, why don't you paint a little picture for people who haven't read the book, who don't know you yet, how you started as a person, because you talked about now you have the growth mindset, you're doing successful things, you have a business now as opposed to just a job, and why don't you give us some of the early days of maybe the mindset that you did have that you left and evolved away from?
Okay, so originally growing up, I had zero self-confidence. I was always a tall, scrawny, awkward kid. And so, I started to believe the things kids say. And
never do that.
No, I mean, I tell my kids now, but it's tough when they're, you're the kid, because that's one thing I really realized in this book was I had never gone back to realize how silly some of the stuff that was such a traumatizing experience in my life, how little it actually meant, because I never went back and looked at it with the new mindset I have. So I had a lot of negative self-talk, and that is the worst thing you could ever do, because you're never going to try to become a better person because you don't believe in yourself to do it. So a lot of, up until 1920, I really thought the only value I had to offer was whatever I could do with my hands, like manual labor. I was always going to be that guy struggling, like in debt. I always thought that was who I was. I went to college for a year, never showed up to class, got kicked out because I didn't believe that it would change anything for me. So horrible person to myself. And a lot of that changed. I met a girl who's now my wife, who kind of had the opposite. Like, she always knew she could do stuff and like just had to put hard work in. And so it's weird how a negative energy is contagious, and so is a positive one. So she started like believing in me in a different way, and it means something different when someone like that believes in you versus your parents, because you grow up with your parents telling you you're smart or you're good at this or that, and it's sort of like you have to say that you're my parent. When other people start saying it, it becomes a little more believable. So that was like the first accidental step in believing in myself. And then really started when I started reading books, and that helped a lot. And having a boss believe in me, because I'd been fired from 5 jobs in a row because I just had a bad attitude. I don't like being told what to do. So if you told me to do something that I viewed as not needing to be done, I would just say no. And that doesn't go over well. And rightfully so. Now I'm as a boss, I'm like, I might be the worst employee in the history of employees. But I finally had a boss who listened, even though he didn't agree with the stuff, he'd listen. And that made a big difference for me. And he was only 4 years older than me. He already had a kid. So he'd already done poor choices in life, because at the time I was 18, he already had like a 5-year-old. So he obviously, so just a few people starting to believe in me, and then me getting enough belief in myself that I started looking for more help, and just, the self-talk really started changing, and that opened everything for me.
And just for also some context, you mentioned that you have kids. How many kids and how old are they?
I have a 15-year-old daughter and twin 13, about to be 14-year-old daughters. So 3 daughters.
All right, teenage years. Okay, so this is a crucial time to get to read this book.
It's a crucial time for him to read this book.
So
really good luck with that.
Yeah.
And especially where you're going to be driving, because down in South Florida, at 4 o'clock every day, you got the rainstorm from 4 to 4:30.
The drivers here are the absolute worst drivers in the world. Like they make no sense to me. They've made me more aggressive, because if you're not aggressive, they're just going to hit you.
Yeah, it's also here when you turn the blinker on. Apparently, that means speed up and not let you in.
Yeah, it's like a race to see if they can stop you from doing it.
Yes. So yeah, and South Florida was bad when I lived there. Wasn't that bad, but I guess now everybody's moving there. So you get everybody.
I mean, it's usually the snowbirds, the ones that are the
Montreal,
worst are
Canadians.
Different states or country license plates. I won't call anyone specifically out, but it's New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey,
Canada.
and
New Jersey.
I was gonna say, when the Canadians come
and
down,
Ontario. Ontario's getting really bad this year. They're rough.
Yeah. Well, I think they're rough because of the Orange Man. I think they're just trying to show they got a little power. So, but
that's what they've got. They've got fast driving.
They're all there for the golf. We'll talk golf later, which we were talking about before the show, because that'll be fun. But tell us more. So if you would like, tell us the business that you started or that you have, that your mindset, which kind of the book goes to, got you to where you are. Like you didn't wake up one day and go, you know what? I'm going to do this, or did you? So how did you get to, I want to start a business to where you're a boss now and you have employees?
So, I mean, my natural, I don't like to be told what to do, always pushed me to knowing I wanted to own my own business. But the industry I'm in, that one boss who listened to me, I just got fired up from an automotive detail job. I had my own business, but I didn't have the right processes in place to actually make that successful. So I got this temporary job. And he started teaching me the locksmith industry. And it helped that it was something that clicked in my brain. Like it was just easy for me to grasp new concepts and stuff. And so me being pretty close in age and interested in the same things like cars and stuff that the owner was, he took me under his wing and really showed me a lot. And a lot to do with how to run a business, how not to run a business, like how to spend money, how to budget, that kind of stuff. Right. And eventually my first locksmith business I opened, because like I said, it was always a dream of mine. He partnered up with me. So at that time I was living in Sacramento, working for him in California. We worked for AAA roadside assistance and they needed one in Fresno. So he helped me open one in Fresno. And I did just about everything wrong you could do as a business owner, where I personally spent every dollar that came in and forgot that, you're supposed to invest in the business to grow it and like save some for taxes and just, normal things for most people. But I was early 20s thinking I'd made it. I went and bought cars I couldn't afford. I just was really bad with money. And then we lost the AAA contract because they stopped covering locksmiths in the same way and stuff. So again, I put myself in a situation where somebody else's choice could have catastrophic results in me and my business. So I was around that. Go ahead.
No, that kind of makes me think of the concept. You talked a little bit about ego, as necessary but dangerous,
right?
And can be dangerous. So is that tell us a little bit about that idea. I mean, how can you even tell when people cross the line from a healthy ego into one of arrogance, where they're making decisions that put them in bad positions?
It's one of my takes that most people don't agree with, but I think if you define ego as self-confidence, you're okay. But the biggest thing is ego is just being good at what you do, and arrogance is needing to tell everybody how good you are at what you do. But really for me, it was when I stopped listening, stopped learning, stopped adapting, stopped growing. I'm like, I've got this figured out. I don't need your help. I don't need to listen. And that's how I notice mine. If like somebody suggests something to me and I don't even process it, I'm just like, nah, that's like a trigger for me to be like, oh, hang on. Like there's something you can learn from everybody every time. It might not directly be in the specific instance they're telling you, like maybe try this, but everybody's got experiences that I don't have. So they figured life out to get to where they're at. So they could probably help me some way, shape, or form. And if I'm not open to listening and seeing how to fit it into my life, most likely I'm being arrogant. But for the most part, it's when you start, strutting around with your chest out, telling everybody how great you are versus just being good at what you do.
What about that manager? Going back to that manager for a second, who really helped you change your attitude about work and listen to you a little bit. I mean, what are some examples of how managers, you think, in this concept of instilling growth mindset, what could they do to set the tone better for their employees?
So it's a weird thing I struggle with, because as a boss, you're usually thinking of 37 things at once. And so the natural tendency is just go do this way. And you don't give them the opportunity to show you the way that they can do it. And it's like math a little bit, where when you get into more complex math, you can do it 10 different ways and get to the same answer. Like, you got to kind of let people get there on their own, and you've got to be supportive of it and just put small guardrails up. And that's what he did with me. Is I'm like, I think I could do this. And he's like, well, it won't work, but go ahead and try it. It's letting people, like, he wouldn't let me do something that was going to cost him a bunch of money. But if it was just going to cost me my time to realize the other way was right, he's more than willing to let me. And occasionally you come up with something they didn't think of, because, my experiences, my everything taught me something different. So it's really, for me as a boss, I try to listen. And the problem I'm having with employees is they're so conditioned to just tell me what to do and I'll do it, that it's tough to get them to just be willing to do it on their own and risk doing it wrong. But it's your job as a boss to give them enough rope to try, but not to hang themselves. So it's tough. But the support and encouragement is the big thing he gave me that I'm trying to give. It's I feel old because I'm always like, this new generation, they don't do this or that, but it's my generation that's raising them, so it's our fault.
So do you think it's an age thing? I mean, because we always tell our employees, like, as long as you try, we're there to help you. And we want you to make mistakes so we can correct them and then put you on the proper path, so to speak. And if you don't make mistakes, that's even better. But is it an age thing, or do you think it is a schooling, or do you think it's just, to your point, parenting? Where do you think the issue comes?
I think it's parents
the people
in school.
That don't think.
In mine, it's parents at school, because I catch myself all the time as a parent. My kid starts doing something that I know is wrong. I'm like, no, you do it like this. And I stop them from trying to just watching. And it's something that, as a parent, you don't realize you're actually hurting them by not letting them fail. In school, like, they prep for the state test for like a week before they take the state test, where when we did the remote learning thing for COVID and everything, I was standing back listening, and the teacher wasn't teaching them how to do the math problem. She was teaching them, if you see this and the answers are square versus round, that means there's more than one to choose. If it's round, that means there's only one. They're teaching them to take a test to get it right versus giving them the information to do it correctly. So all we teach kids as they grow up is how not to fail versus why it's so important to fail.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and that goes to this idea of choosing the right path over the easy path, right? Yeah. So for people who they haven't built that muscle yet. What's an example of a choice or something that they can do to start building that muscle to choose the right path over the easy path?
So generally speaking, the easy path is a short-term dopamine hit win. And the right path is something that it might not be in an immediate, look how good I am. Mm-hmm. Like, so for me, it's if, like, for a customer, I have, two imaginary customers. I have one where I can make a couple $100 now, or one that's like $100, but there's potential for 100 and 100 and 100 and 100. A lot of people will go to that one big time thing because then I look at all this I have, and you have to be like, which one's more sustainable for my business? Because if you're always going after the one big short-term payday, like retail business, you're just chasing that constantly. Because especially in my industry, you buy a new car, it only has one key. You buy the second key. If you're a responsible person, most likely, I don't see you again for the entire ownership of that car. So let's say average 5 years. Yeah. You're my customer maybe once every 5 years because the next car might have enough keys. So I'm constantly spending money to acquire new customers. Yeah, I make way more, but I try to go and find the one who I have to give them a steep discount so it's not as immediate of a return, but I can consistently get work for them long term, so I'm not riding the roller coaster of income. Yeah. I do it a lot too with cars, how I mentioned back when I was not a great business owner. When I made money, I spent it. I went and bought the Dodge Ram SRT 10, which, if you don't know what that is, it's a Dodge truck with a Viper motor in it.
Yep.
So I should not have bought it. There's no way I could afford it. I made it my work truck. It got like 7 miles to the gallon.
Oof.
And I drove all over.
And that's
so
downhill. That's downhill.
yeah, so premium. And like it was the '08 where gas prices went up. Yep. It was such a bad choice. But it made me feel like I was successful versus going and buying the work F-150 or Dodge truck that's like a third of the price, but no one goes, "Woo," when you pull up. That's like short-term versus long-term thinking, and that's right way in the easy way, right? The easy way is to show this fake success, like, look how good I am. And you think it's going to, in turn, magically make people come to you.
Well, that's probably, I mean, that's this concept of, low self-worth and imposter syndrome. I've definitely experienced that in my career, in my past. And that mindset shift, I mean, people do things sometimes like that to try to boost themselves up internally, but that's not really authentic confidence. So what can be done to help generate that authentic confidence in oneself in terms of the mindset shift that you experience?
A big one for me that started helping was delayed gratification. If I want it, great. I used to just get it. Now I have to put some systems in place where I have to wait at least 30 days most times. Because what happens a lot when you go, say like Best Buy or something, where there are higher ticket items and you buy the thing, then you get home, there's that regret that comes in, like I didn't need it or whatever. That tells you you shouldn't have done it. So anytime I get regret, I turned into, it's weird because growing up, if you told me I would be someone who journals, I would have made fun of myself. But it's something for me that I've learned. The way my brain works, it's like it skips words. It's in fast forward. So when I write things down, it forces me to slow down and put more words to my feelings versus them just being feelings. And I don't act emotionally as much as anymore because as soon as I write it down, usually that emotion's gone because I put more words to it and figured out what was behind it. So that's helped me a lot, is just delay any choice when it comes to spending.
I journal every day, and I journal. Sometimes I'll do it by hand. Most times I'll do it on Ohm Writer, which is an app on the Mac. But it gives you that distance from whatever chemicals are going on in your body and your brain, and gives you some reflective time and space in terms of that. So I love that you brought that up because I'm sure a lot of our listeners are not journaling or haven't tried it, and it's something worth trying if you're struggling with these things. Now you mentioned something about changing the environment too, because it's not just the attitude that you bring to yourself, but it's the environment that you're in. But a lot of people tend to want to just stay with whatever's comfortable or whatever's stable, right?
Right.
So how can you know when you need to change your environment, and how do you start even making that shift when you realize that something in your environment, whether it's your people around you or your friends, so-called, or your work or colleagues? I mean, what kind of indicators make that mark?
I go a lot back to the internal, your gut feelings. So if you regret not doing something, let's say, like that's a big one for me because I naturally tend to just want to be at home. And then so, do you want to do this? And I'm that guy who, if you ask me far enough out, I'm like, yeah. And then it starts getting closer and closer, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like that. that retreating to your comfort feeling tells you need to do it. Like that nervousness tells you need to get out to be in that uncomfortable thing. Like at one point, I would have not said yes to doing this because I'd be so afraid of people listening to me. I have a quote with my friend Todd where we use this app called Marco Polo where it's like video text messages because we don't like to type them out.
Nice.
Where you just record it, you hit send, he can watch it whenever he wants. But I was in an airport. And he's like, why aren't you doing more of this? Because we would talk about business and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, I mean, people might listen to me and that'd be weird. And like, that's the quote I repeat in my head anytime opportunities come up for me to share my story. And I do the retreat back to like, I'm like, I have to do it. If I help one person, it's worth it. So anytime you feel yourself retreating to the comfort, you have to force yourself to go do it. And the friend thing is probably the easiest one because as you start changing yourself and developing yourself and becoming the person you actually want to be, The friends who don't like it will show themselves. They'll start putting you down. They'll start distancing themselves from you. So you don't have to, as much as most people think, make that choice. The friends will make it for you. It's almost like the Good Will Hunting scene where Ben Affleck's telling Matt Damon, I want you to not be at this door when I knock on it. That's going to be the best day of my life when you are no longer here. Like you have friends who will know you're taking steps that are needed. Like I've got a couple where I still view them as friends, but they don't reach out because they know I'm pushing and growing and they don't want to follow that. So they're just going to stay over to the side.
That's very powerful. And very powerful reference. And I mean, that kind of goes to the idea that the energy that you put out attracts the energy that people are going to pour into you. So that's really important. John,
it's almost like saying before. It's like, you put yourself out, get yourself out of the comfort zone. It's almost like just constantly just say yes. Yeah. That's the only way. Saying no is easy, right? You can sit and say no all day, but it's when you say yes, you actually have to go out and do it. So that becomes the fun thing, whether it's travel or business or whatever it is, and learning. It's like, yes, and stop, everyone's like, no, no, no. Well, yes, yes, yes. Makes it a lot easier. The other thing you guys are talking about, fake posing. The problem with that today is kids, let's just say 40 and under, they're all on between Instagram and TikTok. I'm here for you. John's a grandpa. It doesn't matter. They're all on Instagram and TikTok. So when they see whoever driving their Bugatti or they're in their Learjet, they don't realize they rented it for the hour. So a lot of the look at how successful I am is just make-believe facade. And I think a lot of people are chasing the Joneses that the Joneses don't exist. It's like the truly successful people are not on TikTok showing you their wealth.
That's right.
Right. It's the YouTubers and whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, oh, that's a cool car. And that's all it is. It's not like these kids are like, I need to be a TikToker now or a YouTuber to do whatever. So I think that has a lot to do with it. We're in a different world where there's not a lot of mentoring going on. So Dustin mentoring his employees or someone mentoring their employees is something you don't see nowadays. Everybody talks a good game, but nobody really does it. They kind of
I hope we can change the tide with this conversation, because we do need, the world needs better mentors, and you need mentors at every age. And that's the amazing thing that I've realized. I mean, okay, I'm only 40, Stephen, but I've had mentors throughout my life. I've mentored many mentors throughout my life, and at every stage, you have somebody else. So I wanted to go back to what you mentioned about the Bugatti, though, and people looking at all these cars, the material success. So you're right. Dustin says legacy is beyond material success.
Right.
So how would you define legacy for someone who's not a parent like you, or maybe not even an entrepreneur, but they still want to leave some impact behind?
So legacy is a weird thing for me. A lot of people, legacy is like generational wealth and stuff. And I like cars. I like watches. I like things. The things are goals for me to make me work on those days, because everyone has them. It doesn't matter how positive you are. There's some days you wake up and you're like, I don't want to do anything. So I have, like, sitting in front of me, I use OKRs, and I attach goals to the goals. I attach things to the goals, and I call it my rewards equation. If it's a small goal, it's a small reward. If it's a big goal, it's a big reward. So cars and stuff are my rewards, but they're to keep the consistency. But for me, the legacy thing, it's not those things, because the things, they come, they go. Money comes, it goes. And for me, legacy it was a very tough thing for me to decide that definition. But for me, it's an evolving process as well. So next time you talk to me, it could be different. But for me, it's the ideas. Like, you're passing on a thought or idea that can be passed on after people forget who you are. Because it's a very rare few people in the world, in history, that get remembered past a generation or two. So my whole thought is this mindset thing. It's not my idea. I've adapted and read and done stuff. I want to pass it on to my kids and people. That's why I do YouTube and stuff like that, and social media. I don't really care if you think I own my car or not, to go along with that. Like,
Right.
It's not my goal of using it, but my goal of using it is if I go to a car show and a guy found me on YouTube because I was showing my McLaren, now he comes and talks to me. And I had one the other day and he was lost. He had graduated college, didn't know what to do, but he likes cars. So he found me. And so we had a conversation. His parents were there. He's from like North Carolina. So he'd come all the way to South Florida on vacation, met up with me. And so I like to use the things as a way to spread what I want my legacy to be. And it's a way of thinking. So for me, it's any idea that lasts past your memory.
So wait, I have to ask a question because I'm a car nut. Which McLaren do you have?
I currently have a 765 LT.
Very nice. Okay.
With the roof scoop. That's important. I always have to say.
You gotta have the roof scoop. Yeah, because without that, then it's not really. So,
right, unless you get the Spider, then you're okay.
Well, that's not that you get the 750s or the 720s for that.
750 is a step down. 720 is a step down. I go through this all the time with people. I've had 3 McLarens, and this is the best one so far.
Yeah, there's a guy who's a McLaren maven in London, and he will tell you that the 765 LT is like the ultimate McLaren. It's the only one that doesn't break, he says. And I'm like, that's a good thing for McLaren because all of them break. So, but that's very cool.
The funny thing is, I've owned a lot of BMWs, so I've got experience with cars that if you don't drive them, they break.
Yes, true.
BMW. If you don't drive a BMW daily, it's going to have check engine lights and it's going to break. It still might break, but you have a better chance of it not. McLarens need a full battery all the time, or you'll have those electrical demons everyone talks about. So I drive mine almost every day. If I have, and every day I park it, I plug in a battery maintainer because it needs the battery to be at the tip top. And when you drive it, you got to actually drive it. I'm not knocking around the block, putting around. You got to get there and you got to push the gas and make a car drive the way it was built to drive. Just within reason, but
so you go on the turnpike, you can do maybe 70, and you're.
And I've had a couple of Lamborghinis, and I've had more issues with them than the 3 McLarens I've owned.
Now, which Lamborghinis did you have?
So as a kid, I always had the Gallardo pictures everywhere. So I got one of those. I'm 6'4".
Okay.
And I wear a hat almost every day. The button on my hat is touching the roof of the car. And my shoulder is touching the driver's window. It was the worst purchase, but it was a gated manual. I thought it was amazing. Then I had an Aventador.
Okay.
It might be the best sounding car in the world. It is tough to drive. I hear the SVJs fixed sticks, they have all wheel steering and stuff, so you actually feel like you can drive it. But like Lamborghini, they want to look good, they want to sound good. The driving thing, that's like, we'll figure that out later.
Right. And they're still figuring it out to this day.
I hear the Revuelto is amazing, though.
I've not driven that one, but the others I have. So.
They say it feels like a McLaren. Like if you've ever driven a McLaren, they feel like go-karts. They just naturally go where you want them to go. They say the new Lamborghini, even though it weighs so much because it's a hybrid, is like that.
Very nice. Well, now the Ferrari came out with their new V12, and they're saying that now is the best sounding car ever. And that's like in the Silencio, and that's supposed to be like that was made for yeah. They're saying that's the best sounding car.
That's the tough spot as someone who like the way I consume anything is YouTube.
Right.
There's not a microphone in the world that picks up exhaust sounds right. Because a lot of it's the feel it gives you.
Yep.
Like I've done a whole video on just everybody has that sound that gets with them. Like V8s with like a cam for me are the best sounding engine in the world. V12 high pitch, it just hurts my ears. I like it, but it hurts my ears. The chuggy V8s, man, I'll stand there and listen to that all day. Wow. So everyone's got that different tone. It does not come across on microphone. So I always wait till I can see it and hear it because they also video and photo different. So I'm a weird one. I have to see it, feel it, touch it with my own eyes, ears. Like
so, the Cars and Coffee. Do you go to the one in Boca, or do you go down the one down in Miami that's always put on by Fast Drive?
I go to the what's it called, Supercar Saturdays. It's every second Saturday. It's at the Qatar Hotel right now, so it's kind of a cool backdrop. But I have never had such a hard time finding the right car group as I have since I moved here. Like I'll go to some and it's nothing against them. I have a Dodge Durango Hellcat as well.
Right.
But when you show up and there's just 13 Hellcats in a line, you're like, I need a variety of things to excite me, not just he's got the purple headlights, he's got the green LED, but they're the same headlight. You know what I mean? Right. So there are some good ones around here. I just haven't found the right guy to plug me into the right groups.
Well, maybe we'll find them after the show.
Yeah, well,
it seems like the
best part of car shows.
The takeaway here is that all these supercars are not worth the money that you buy them for. If there's such
depends on the car, John.
It depends on how you buy it. I'll preface this with I sold it at peak COVID pricing, but the Aventador I made $100,000 profit on. I owned it 6 months.
During COVID, what happened was because people were bored. They were buying everything and anything because they're like, I have nothing to do, so I'll buy a supercar. Most people have never driven a supercar, so they would buy it. They'd have it for whatever. They didn't want to sell it, and the next idiot, I mean that in a nice way, would buy it, and it kept going. Now cars prices are starting to come down a little bit.
Go back up. I'll say it right here. They're going back up because of the tariffs.
With the tariffs, they will.
Oh, right.
So what happened too is you're right. Everyone had spare money to spend because we couldn't go out and waste it on fast food and all that stuff. Right. But also, Lamborghini shut down. So if you wanted a Lamborghini, you had to buy a used one. So all the used car prices went up because that's all people had in supply and demand. There's not more of them coming in. Everything went up. So I had a really cool orange Lamborghini that the dealership had a customer for. So they offered, I just got trade-in value. And they gave me $100,000 over, and I only owned it for 6 months.
Nice.
So, you got to do that deal.
I've lost money too. Don't get me wrong. I've lost money on them, but my entire goal is to be able to get in and get out and have the payment at the end of it. If you do how much I lost, be what a regular car would be.
Gotcha.
So if you can get in and out and be let's say $1,000 or less, if you're buying like a BMW or Mercedes, that's what your monthly payment's going to roughly be.
Yeah, right.
If you can get in and out for that, but got the experience of owning a supercar, why would you not do it?
That is true. And they're great, and they're a lot of fun. So there's a one in Boca.
Would you say that is the mindset difference from somebody that has a
So I found this group. It's called Exotic Car Hacks, and he teaches you all that stuff because that's, again, it was a mindset thing. I'm like, those are for other people. And that group actually was a big step in my mindset because it showed me there are different ways to view and see the world.
Right.
He also wrote a book called Third Circle Theory, which really helped me understand a lot too. His name's Pejman Ghadimi. He's a very polarizing person, I'll tell you that. I like the way he is. He tells you exactly what he's thinking. A lot of people can't handle that. But he's been a mentor of mine. That's why I'm shouting him out. He's helped me through my entire ownership in business process. And it's funny that it takes someone else to tell you something you already know, but to say it in a different way to make it the light bulb go off. And that's what he did for me.
In brief, what is the third circle theory?
So there are 3 different circles. The first circle is like your newborns, let's say, right? Where the world is there for you, happens around you, which is a lot of the world thinks we are all like the main character syndromes, a lot what my kids call it. You think the world's here for you. They're all there to give you stuff. The second one is you realize there are things happening outside of your control, and your reactions can sort of dictate what happens a little bit, but you're still being in it and not really able to control it. And the third is you're fully outside of it, and you see everything going on, and you can manipulate it based off just your observations and stuff. It's a different way of thinking mindset wise, but I read it probably or I listen to a lot of books once a year at least. He's got 2 other books. That one's my favorite, but he's got a series of 3 of them that help you along the way.
Very cool. Dustin, tell everybody your YouTube handle. So if people want to, or for 20-year-olds hanging out in South Florida and wants to meet up and wants advice.
Yeah, it's Busterberg, Busterburg. It's a silly reason I got that name, but it's just one that nobody else takes. So I just get to use it on every platform. It makes it easier.
Okay, there you go. So you can reach out to Dustin or you reach out here at the show. So Dustin, what's the final, like if someone's an entrepreneur or they're a 15-year-old or they're a 150-year-old, what's your final take for them? Like, not that they want to drive exotics. Let's just say they just want to be successful at X, whatever X may be. What's your final, like, what's the one thing you would tell them to do other than
my big thing is I like owner operator businesses in like blue collar service based industries. And the reason I like that is growing up, we were all told those are not good things. They're for dumb people in a sense, right? They're for the people who can't do the other stuff. And for me, they're the number one group of industries that the world needs. Like there's a reason private equity is investing so heavy in them all right now. They went out of tech and they're into these industries. But I like them so much because it's somebody who's taken time to develop a skill. And that's all what I'm all about with the mindset thing is it doesn't matter if you're good at it now. If you just keep putting in work, you develop the skill, you master it. And once you master it, you can start a business in it and you can make really good money. Like I'm an example. I'm a locksmith. I should not, in the world's thinking, own a McLaren. But because I think differently and I went and I learned the skill. And once you learn it, you can start outsourcing the little things you don't want to do. Like I don't necessarily want to answer every phone call or email that comes in. So I've paid people to do that. I have a website that people order on, like for our wholesale customers. I don't want to be the one sitting at the computer anymore, processing every order. So I've got someone else to do that. You just build systems and grow. And then what usually happens and what I try to help people, because I mentor some of the people in this, is we get bored as these types of people. And so we'll go change everything. We create chaos again because we thrive in chaos. And then we blow our business up and then we're back in the truck doing all the work. So develop the skill, master the skill, outsource all the stuff you don't want, save the chaos for expanding. So you can go now that you've got the business running, go and create chaos to try to expand in a new way in a little safety bubble. And then once you figure it out and you start making money, you develop a system and you pass it off to a new employee. And then you get to go make chaos again, but keep your business running. And it's something, if you're the person who likes a lot of stuff going on, these are the industries for you. These are the ways to own business. You just got to make sure you're harnessing that superpower you have of being able to thrive in chaos in positive ways versus just blowing it up and constantly be chasing dollars. Because if you're chasing money, it's going to run. You got to be making
what happens.
That's awesome.
That's very cool. That was good advice. Dustin, thank you so much. And have fun with your McLaren, man. That's next time I'm in South Florida, I'll have to look you up. But there is a car group that meet, and I know where it is. It's on Federal Highway, and there's a jewelry store. And if I can remember the name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. It's like Diamonds and Donuts, it's called.
Yep. I've never gone to that one, so I don't know if that's a good or a bad
I went to the first one.
Yeah.
It was a good one. It was a really good one. Yeah.
So, but they seem to have a different array of cars.
They do, and they have a different group of people too. So it's nice. Like they have a whole Tesla side, which in car world sometimes we don't like them. I'm not the same. Teslas don't excite me, but I don't have any problem with the car. They're like getting a new iPhone.
Right.
They're really fun at first, and then it's just a thing in your pocket. It's just a thing in your driveway. I own 2 for work cars, but they're not. I'm not going to go out and listen to the one just idle, right? Well, they don't idle, but
they hum.
Yeah.
They hum. So
thanks for joining us, Dustin.
It was a pleasure, and good luck on your golf because we talked about that before.
I need it for sure.
So that's a whole nother show. So
one day I'm going to make it through without losing 12 golf balls, but
well, that'll be. I'll try to think of a golf course down there that has just big, wide open fairways for you.
It's a mindset.
It's a mindset. There you go. It's a mindset.
It's a mindset.
You have to just think that you won't lose 12 golf balls.
So in a sense it is, because if I get up there and there's water over here where I've never hit left, that ball is going in the water because all I'm thinking is don't hit it in the water, don't hit it in the water, don't hit it in the water, and you hit it in the water. So it is a mindset thing. Like instead of focusing on what you do not want to happen, focus on what you want to happen, because in life in general, whatever you're looking for, you're going to find. So if all you think of and look at is the negative in the world, you're going to find all the bad, negative things in the world. But if you're able to look at the positive, good things happening, you're just going to find more of it. And then that's where all the opportunities are to better yourself.
There you go. That's whether it's cars, golf, or work, people. There you have it.
Yeah.
Dustin, it was a pleasure. Thank you for reaching out. Enjoy the rest of your day in Boca Raton, Florida, darling. I just want you to make you feel at home. And I will have you back again. And if you write another book, please let us know. But if not, we may just have you come back and talk about cars one day.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Dustin.
Cheers. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers.
All right.
That was very good. That was very cool. I enjoyed that.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of nuggets of wisdom. We had a good viewership, and when this gets recorded, when this gets published, on all the podcasts, I think, tomorrow. I think it'll get a lot of views. That's great.
All right. So we should probably want to do.
So we're going to do Lost and Found now. Yeah, John's got something.
Lost and Found ready? Yeah, you actually have something today, John?
I got a lot of them.
Oh God,
I always have something.
I'm aware. So, well, the good thing is we all learned today that we always just say yes. So, John, there's a drag show going on next week. Just say yes to something new.
Ever wonder how millions vanish into thin air, or how a single dollar can make all the difference? Join us on Lost and Found, where we dive into the wild world of financial mysteries. From misplaced fortunes to unexpected windfalls, we unravel the stories of people, companies, organizations, and even governments who've lost and found millions. Lost and Found, because every dollar has a story.
Dun, dun, dun. John, what do you have for us, big guy?
All right, so Temu and Shein, which are two big competitors to Amazon, they represent a lot of advertising dollars. They're slashing their advertising in Meta and X and any other platform, and Google. So they're taking about 30% of YouTube's ads, for instance. So they've cut it down because as we know, the rule that you could import something that was less than $800 without any any sort of import fees, that's gone away. So so now all of a sudden, they're competing with Amazon, and they're competing with Amazon on a much more equal sort of footing, right? Because they can no longer, just flood the market with cheap stuff. Now that we have these, I don't know if it's 90. I think it's 90% of the parcel value that's over $75 to $150. So. Good for Amazon, bad for Meta and YouTube and X, because they're losing ad dollars, and Google, so I don't know. Take it for what it's worth there.
On another note for your China thing, what the Chinese manufacturers are doing now, they're on Instagram and TikTok, and they are telling you what they charge Lululemon, Louis Vuitton, and Hermes and all these luxury brands on their products, and they're telling you instead of buying a 30,000 Hermes bag, they'll sell you the same bag that they make for Hermes and sell it to Hermes for $1,000. They'll sell it to you for $1,000. They said even with the 100% tariffs, you still save money. So a lot of people now are starting to buy Louis Vuitton from the factory and whatnot. I was like, well, that's interesting. So the tariff
just
idea
a perfect
example
just a perfect example of hey, it's counterfeit. So I say that's bullshit, right? It's just okay, go ahead and buy a counterfeit from a Chinese manufacturer. Perfect example of
it shows the
why
game
we
that they're
need to
playing.
we need to So I mean I don't find that like a smart move. Basically, you're saying that you're sort of killing the customer in a way that. But okay.
I think China's just saying we don't really. I don't think they really care, John. I think they're at the point now where they're like, "Hey, Trump, we don't care."
I know.
I'll give you my lost and found. Donald Trump's policies could give China the lead in global energy race, says experts. This is an article in the FT that was Thursday, because if people are watching Saturday. And China could replace the U.S. as a dominant world power as the trade wars ral American oil producers and Beijing extends its clean tech lead. Analysts have warned. It's a fascinating article. Let me tell you, everything Donnie's doing isn't really helping. And,
well, I think it has yet to be seen. It has yet to be seen.
Well, as of short term, not so much.
Yeah, the short term. I think there's definitely some short term pain that's happening, but I think we're playing a much longer term game here.
I don't think their administration is playing a long term game. If they are, then kudos to them. But I think they're playing whatever the emperor wants to do for the day.
I don't know. We'll have to see. We're going to wait and see. 2027 is coming soon.
So, I mean, well, anyway, I got another one,
go ahead.
Which,
all right.
I don't know if you love, but the HSS is, the Health and Human Services, I don't know, ministry, whatever, department, whatever you like to call it. There's a proposal that was leaked by CNN that they're looking to cut, the budget, which is 1.8 trillion, if you can believe this, 1.8 trillion by 40%. So that would be interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big numbers, man. That's really big numbers.
Big numbers, yeah, very big numbers. So
yeah.
So basically, it's going to be like Thunderdome and Mad Max. It's just everyone fend for themselves, and if you need something, you just have to go kill someone to go get it. Wow, I can't wait. This is going to be a great country to live in soon. I'm looking forward to it. It's getting worse.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just getting worse, guys. I don't think
I don't know. I think maybe it's because I'm too insulated here in upstate New York, but I think there's hope for communities and there's hope for people banding together at a more local level.
I will see. And the latest from the Trump administration is they're going to abandon the peace talks in the Ukraine if they don't all acquiesce like tomorrow. So, like I keep saying, Russia will be rolling through the Ukraine this year. Poland, you're next, baby. So here we go. Daddy's always right. Sorry. And then we have an authoritarian now. We don't listen to the Supreme Court. We don't listen to this. We don't have three branches of government anymore. We're a great country.
Oh no, come on. Don't go into talking points here.
Donnie Trump wants to send Americans to foreign prison, he said in a press interview the other day. That was the best. So looking forward, John, I'm going to miss you. Anyway, I'm so looking forward to that. That's like, oh my God, if this isn't the 30 Germanys or North Korea right now, I don't know what is, but it's so exciting. And they're not talking points here. It's actually what he says. I listen to the crap he says, and I just sit there and I say to myself, really? You said that? And then the best part is when they were talking about the trade negotiation, is the blonde chick was like, no, the tariffs are not for negotiation. 3 hours later on Air Force, Trump's like, of course they're for negotiation. So they don't even have the same message. So when you say there's some long plans and there's thought out stuff, right now I find that hard to believe because it's literally the Three Stooges running the government. So if I see something that looks at, I'm going to be like, this is awesome.
Well,
they were geniuses.
We'll have to do an episode on the long game and see if we can come up with a speaker on that point.
We're going to talk about China.
Yeah.
But China plays the long game.
China's playing the long game. That's true. China's playing the long game, but China's got its own problems, and maybe we need to do another episode.
Well, everybody has their problems. I'm not saying what we don't. Every country has their problems. We just seem to be exacerbating ours right now. So, it's kind of like, hey, this is great. So I'm looking.
Well, speaking of problems in the legal space, so Meta presented slides in Meta's own antitrust case,
right?
And it turns out that they revealed information in their slides which were poorly redacted. And improperly redacted information from Google, who also lost their antitrust case, Apple, and Snap. Yes. And these the attorneys for Apple, Snap, and Google were just livid that Meta did not properly hide information that they had shared with Meta, and it put all these monopolies into a tizzy.
Yeah, it's gonna get worse. It's just the rooster. There's an
The tech industry will benefit from a little bit of pullback on monopolies. I think so.
I think so. There's an economist on Bloomberg yesterday, and she was saying, the last 20, 30 years, these oligarchs have come, and it's been a rise of them. And she said there seems to be a shift where it's going to change, where the people that became fortunate became more fortunate, and the less fortunate became less. And she thinks the less fortunate in the next 20 are going to become more fortunate, where the people with wealth will become less fortunate. So I thought that was an interesting hypothesis.
A little bit of equalization wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah, that means you got to not privatize Social Security, not privatize Medicare and Medicaid, and you've got to actually take care of your people.
I don't think those things are going to get privatized.
We'll see. I want them to see we've talked about this, still haven't come to how do we take care of our people.
Yes, that's what we need. We need real leaders with that kind of plan at heart. But I don't know that we're going to see that from politicians anytime soon.
I think the two guys. Well, if Shapiro from Pennsylvania and the other guy, the big guy that wears shorts from Pennsylvania, I think if they were going to be president, vice president, or however that would work, I think you would see it from them. But I don't think you're going to see it from the Republicans. Don't care. They're just like whatever. Bernie Sanders 20 years ago laid this plan out that they're doing, which I thought was fascinating. Someone sent me that video, and I was like, that's interesting. So everything that's happening now, he said 27 years ago what they would do. Which is, have the races against each other and have this and have that. It's fascinating. It's like he gave a speech, I guess, at a classroom or something. And I was watching. I was like, well, he pretty much hit that nail on the head.
No, that's just bullshit. The Democrats are the ones that have brought the race issue into this world right now in the last 5 years.
Yeah, no, that was Well, that was.
Well, now instead of Republicans,
the race issue wasn't an issue until Occupy Wall Street started getting traction.
But now we're making it more. And that was more of an issue, right? But they're making it more of an issue now because they're removing Black history literally from everything, from the Department of Defense, from the Smithsonian, and whatnot. So literally, unless you're a white guy, you're gonna in the next couple of years, there's no more history. They're taking out all of this stuff. There was a big article in the New York Times about that, and other papers have covered it.
Yeah, the problem I have with is that you always bring up, one side of the coin.
I have you, John, to bring up the other side.
New York Times, Times,
communist papers, Post. John. Yeah, communists. All of them. I know, communists.
They all have well, first of all, they've left journalism and their opinion pieces, right? And they no longer represent an unbiased explanation of the news.
So who should I read, John? Tell me who to read.
Read somebody else. There's plenty of other outlets.
Yeah, John, when you start typing articles
on that
note, guys, we are done for the day. We will be back next Friday. Do we have a guest next Friday, or is it just the three Musketeers?
No, it's going to be just us. I'm working on a guest, but I think it's going to be just us. I think they're not going to be able to make it next week, but maybe the week after.
And John next week is going to read the news the way John sees it. That's going to be the first 5 minutes of the show.
John's got to give us a couple papers that or news sources that we should consider reading.
Other than Bloomberg, Financial Times, The Economist, the New York Times, all those
The Atlantic,
they're all so good.
They are. It's amazing.
No, I know.
I read a lot of stuff out of China and the Middle East. And they're
those are great guys to believe.
I know, I love those guys. The Middle East ones are the best. So I read all the UAE newspapers, and I read a lot of stuff out of China.
That's the problem. We got to get a wide perspective because no one source now is really that true. Yeah,
I miss Walter Cronkite. Well, Jon Stewart is true. I like Jon Stewart. Whatever he says is always true. That's how I look at it. Him and John. They're true. The rest of them, no, not so much. Bill Maher, he's true too. Other than those three, that's where I get all my real news. So, like America should.
Right.
There's no Walter Cronkite anymore. If Walter Cronkite was alive today, first of all, he'd have a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly. He would not be happy.
Yeah. Second of all, everybody would listen to Walter because Walter was, this is it. This is the news. And Jon Stewart's kind of that way. I think Bill Maher does a little bit. He calls out both sides, and John Oliver. His pieces are pretty much, I think, okay. They're kind of in the middle. So, but it's hard to find between Bloomberg and everything else that I read or watch. The Like I don't do CNN and I won't do Fox because you talk about slants. So it's very hard to find just
Yeah,
here's the
absolutely.
news. Yeah, it's very difficult. That's why we have the show. That's why we can all talk about it. And if you notice the way we talk about it, we have a dialogue, people. We don't yell and
Yes,
scream at each other.
yes.
We don't call each other. We talk about it. And John will tell me how wrong I am, and I'll tell John how wrong he is. But at the end of the day, we're
That's
still
right.
friends,
Yeah.
and and it's not a big deal. That's what America's
Yeah,
missing right now.
we need more.
And that's
We
the
need
problem.
more people to do that. Dialogue
Yeah.
would be good.
Yeah.
Dialogue would be good.
That'd be a good thing.
Not.
And we want to
yeah,
thank
not
our
good.
guest, Dusty. And Dusty's, hold on, I've got his YouTube thing here. It's called Buster Berg, B-U-R-G. So there you go. So you can look him up
Buster
on
Berg.
YouTube.
Dustin
And he's
Lloyd.
got, and he's got a which one? He's got a nice, and his
And buy
book,
his book.
which is
Buy his
entitled-
book. It's all your fault.
What's the title? Yeah, we didn't ask where he sells his book. Where does he sell his book?
He sells it everywhere that you can get books, like Amazon.
Amazon.
Amazon. Okay. How about China, John? Can you get it on Temu, one of those on China? Because you're gonna
Maybe,
redo his book.
they probably translated and didn't pay him any royalties.
Right. Sure.
Gotta love that. I love those Chinese stuff. They're always thinking. Anyway, for you people that are in Saudi Arabia and enjoy the Grand Prix, the F1, we'll see you all on Sunday. This show rebroadcast. Don't forget to subscribe and like. We'll see you next Friday. David will be joining us hopefully in June when he recovers from his Tahitian boy oil massage. And that's it. We'll be back next Friday, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Cheers. Don't forget to like and subscribe.